In this video, I hope to demonstrate the utilization of the SGPLOT procedure. And we're going to utilize the SGPLOT procedure to create an output which graphs the mean of a particular response variable. So I've gone ahead and created a test data frame within our work library, and that data frame has three variables: call, RESVAR, and suit. And this example that we're doing differs from prior examples in that I've actually applied a format to this data frame prior to recording. So for the variable call, each observation of 1 is formatted as red, 2 is blue, 3 is green, 4 is yellow. For suit, 1 is spade, 2 is club, 3 is diamond, 4 is heart. And for RESVAR, 1 is strongly disagree, 2 is disagree, 3 is neutral, 4 is agree, and 5 is strongly agree. And just to reiterate, the variable type, again, for each one of these variables without the format applied, is numeric. So what we want to do, as I mentioned previously, is we want to create a graphic. And that graphic is going to be displaying the mean of a response variable. So I've made a title for our particular graph, and this is totally optional. I prefer titles on the graphs, but you can skip this step if you like. So we're calling this first graphic sample graph title A. Then we're indicating that we'd like to utilize the SGPLOT. So proc SGPLOT data equals test. Test is our example data set. Suit is how we'd like to have our variables categorized. All right, so we're categorizing our response variable, which is RESVAR, by suit. So vbar suit / response equals RESVAR. That's our response variable. We want the mean of our response variable. So stat equals mean. And these are aesthetic options here: nostatlabel and filltype equals solid. We're going to be utilizing the where statement because we're only interested in observations where the observation entry for the column, the call variable, equals 4. So 4 is yellow. So we're only interested in looking at row observations for our graphic where the call variable is yellow. So we're interested in this row, this row, this row, 20, 21, and so forth. Everything else, every other variable, green, blue, red, yellow, we're not interested in. We're only interested in instances in which the call variable or the call column is yellow or 4, because 4 is indicating a observation formatted to yellow. We don't want to display an x-axis label, and we don't want to display a y-axis label. However, we do want to set the grid values. So we'd like to have 5 grid values, starting with the number 1, ending with the number 5, and we'd like to count by 1. So if we were to run this bit of code here, and let me close our data frame, otherwise the code wouldn't execute. If we were to run this code, our output would resemble this first graphic. And as you can see, we have our designation by suit. RESVAR means, that was our response variable. So this is the mean of RESVAR. It's the mean of this variable as designated by the suit, but only in instances where the call was equal to yellow. And we've set our access to include all possible responses. That was 1 to 5. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1. So they're all there. From strongly disagree to strongly agree. However, if we were not to specify some of these options and leave it to SAS to make the distinction, that is the code here. As you can see, it's less verbose than the code above it. Sample graph table B. If we were to run this, our outcome would resemble this graphic here. And as you can see in this instance, we have a x-axis label, a y-axis label, and we're missing some of the y-axis designations. They're all included here because we said 1 to 5. In this case, we did not specify that. And so SAS just did the best that it could, given the circumstances. I've created a image that I'd like you to take a look at before we wrap up this lecture. And what this is demonstrating is what each particular option is designating. So in the case of our original code, x-axis display, no label, would remove this from existing here. Y-axis display, no label, would remove RESVAR from the left, where the y-axis, and y-axis grid values 1 to 5 by 1 would be sure to ensure that all of our y-axis values as it relates to the response variables are included. And again, we're displaying the mean of our response variable. Here's our response variable, and stat equals mean means that we're only interested in graphing the mean of the response variable as designated by these categories. So that is it for this particular lesson. Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and have a great rest of the day. Take care.